Some utilize the tools of fear and terror to force others into submission. God, just as you are always looking down upon us as your children, we look up to you and ask for mercy and peace in the midst of chaos. God, be with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, those many who lie exposed to the evil acts of a few tyrannical men. Give them strength and hope and show them your power and righteousness. Also, help to quell and calm the anxieties of those who fear that bloodshed will spill over into their countries. Allow calmness and wisdom to enter the minds of those leaders and give them the ability to see a path of mercy and restraint. God, we also pray for those who live under the cloak of lies and misinformation in Russia and in other parts of the world. Find a way for them to be shown truth and to throw off the yoke of their oppressors. Show them peace and love in a world where they can live day to day with eyes open. And God, let us be leaders for you in this part of the world. In doing so, remind us of your word, which in Philippians 2:3 states, "Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves." We see that great leaders are born from selflessness and place the interests of their people above their own. Let us also go forth in love and serve the needs of our neighbors, forgive those who have wronged us, and further your will in this world. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Nice.
Well said. Thank you very much, Mr. Wallace and Mr. Brown. Now, may I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of February 8th, 22 meeting?
Caius move.
Berman second.
Thank you. Are there any additions, edits, or adjustments to those minutes? Seeing none and seeing none online, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen,
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Franz,
Guys, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Bonnicki.
Yes.
Passes. I know next is public comment, but as you can see, we have some media with us today, and it's not for all of us. It is to be a recognition. So with your permission, I'd like to do the recognition of Heroic Citizen Award first before we go on to public comment. And I hope the public who is going to comment will allow us this opportunity to recognize a heroic citizen first. So Sheriff Haynes, please. And I think they're all set up, so if you can, you're all good. Perfect.
Channel 5, are you ready to go? It's like the Super Bowl halftime or timeout. We got to wait for you to get ready before we can go. Good morning, distinguished board members. I know you agree with me when we say it's incredibly important to recognize our citizens and put them front and forward when they do fantastic things in and for our community. After all, that's who we're here for. So today, I'm going to ask to come up and join me Chris Shanahan, his lovely wife and his parents, and also Mike Kisman, if you could come up with me. I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution that we're passing today that memorializes the occasion. On Monday, December 13th, 2021, at approximately 9:15 a.m., the Kane County Sheriff's Office responded to Windsor Drive in St. Charles for an animal complaint and a dog bite. While en route, KaneCom, our dispatch center, advised that the two Rottweilers were attacking a person. KaneCom also learned a firearm was involved in the incident. When deputies arrived there, EMS personnel were attending to the victim, Laura Kisman, the wife of Mike, and loading her onto a cart. Laura's head was covered in blood, and a deputy observed a large piece of her hair on the ground. Another team of EMS personnel was tending to the dog's owner, who had also been bitten. Laura and Ann, the dog's owner, were then transported to hospital by EMS. A witness on the scene, Christopher Shanahan, explained to deputies that he was driving by and saw Laura on the ground getting attacked by 2 Rottweilers. He told Han he was going to help Laura and instructed her to call 911 and request help and paramedics. At that point, with Chris's quick thinking, he saw a neighbor walking by and asked him to go home and grab a weapon so he could defuse the situation because the dogs simply were not disengaging from Miss Kisman. He also called his father, who lived in the neighborhood, and told him to come to the scene with a weapon. Of course, Chris is a valid licensed concealed carry holder and has his FOID card. When his father arrived on the scene, Christopher took his firearm, waited till he had a clear shot, and then fired 1 round into one of the Rottweilers that was attacking Laura. Thanks to Chris's quick actions that day, the dogs immediately disengaged. 1 dog passed away at the scene, the other was euthanized later. And Chris is a hero in all of our minds. So now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Kane County Board recognizes and applauds the bravery and life-saving efforts of Christopher Shanahan. And we even created an award just for you. So it's Sheriff Ron Haynes Heroic Citizen Award, presented to you for courage and fast action to save the life of another citizen. Thank you very much.
Am I on here? Okay. A couple of comments. I won't say too much because, as many of you know, there's pending litigation surrounding the incident. But I do want to make a couple of comments. One, I thank Sheriff Haynes and his deputies and the medical emergency team for showing up in the time frame that they showed up. Because, as you can imagine, seconds and minutes were precious given what had transpired, and sometimes that can be the difference between life and death. So for them to respond in the manner that they responded and exhibit the level of professionalism that they exhibited when they showed up, given what had transpired there, I think Sheriff Haynes and his deputies did a class act job. They should be commended for that, as well as the EMTs that showed up on site. The second thing that I want to comment on that the media didn't really touch on, that I'll just touch on real quickly, is I was prepared to do this for anyone. It didn't matter who the victim was in this particular incident. I was committed to stopping and preventing what ultimately could have been just a terrible, terrible tragedy. When I got out of my vehicle and I approached what was going on, it made it a little different knowing Laura personally. I know the Kisman family well. Mike, who's here today, has coached my son's basketball team. He has a son that goes to school with my son. He has 3 daughters that are all of high school age that go to school with my daughter at St. Charles North. I had just been over at the Kisman's house 2 months previous for a homecoming event. They were gracious enough to host kids and their families over for homecoming pictures and hors d'oeuvres. So I had just spent quite a bit of time with Laura and Mike 2 months previous to this incident. So you can imagine the sense of urgency that I felt when I had gotten involved and realized that it was Laura getting attacked. That obviously gets the adrenaline going a little bit more, and put me in a situation where I had to diffuse it in any way I could, so that ultimately she was able to go home to Mike and be there for the moments that mattered for their 4 kids. So the media didn't really touch on that aspect of it. I'm not sure they realized that my wife and I know the family as well as we know them, but that made it extra special that that this ended the way it ended, and that there is a road to recovery for Laura, because I have to admit, at the end of all of it, I wasn't sure that was going to be the case, and that would have been the ultimate travesty, I think, as a result of what transpired. So, right place at the right time, I guess, but just the willingness to make sure that Laura was eventually going to make it home. And I know the recovery for her is going to be long and continues to be long, but that's really where the focus needs to be is on the Kisman family. They're a great family, and I'm glad that Laura was able to survive this and be there for the moments that matter for both Mike and the kids moving forward. So that's really all I have to say. Yep. Yep.
We should also quickly recognize right behind us here, Kane Dispatch Center, because we can't get to where you are unless we know what's going on. And they're the ones who make that puzzle piece work. So thank you to Kane too. Yep. Thank you for your time.
Karen?
Yes,
Would you
Mr.
like a
Shepherd?
motion at this time to approve resolution 22-89?
I would indeed.
69. 69.
We have multiple seconds, but I think I heard Mr. Kenyon's voice first. District is the family in.
It's Mr. Kenyon's, I believe.
Is it
Is
Mr.
that your
Kenyon?
district?
That's in my district.
Okay,
We're
please.
close, but quick thinking by a young man saved a life.
Brilliant thinking.
Quick
brilliant
thinking. And being willing to step up there and do it. So fortunate.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. So we have
Roll call?
roll call, please. I mean, I'm just thinking of the dogs and the story that was just told. How extraordinary. What great heroes. Quick action. And everyone had the skill set to be able to save this family, which is remarkable, just at the right time. So can you please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Kobe,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Happy, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonicky.
Yes.
Okay, passes. Very good. Thank you. We are now on to public comment, going back to the agenda, and why we recognize the heroic work that was done to save a family. I would also now like to introduce a letter that I'm going to have our clerk read before we go into our regular public comment, and because I would like this to be entered into the minutes.
Dear Madam Chairman Parag, on behalf of Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley, I'm writing to express our sincere gratitude for the exceptional service provided by Kane County staff in the Development and Community Services Department, the Environmental and Water Resources Department, and the Health Department. Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley has a tax credit application in process with the Illinois Housing Development Authority that will generate $300,000 in revenue for the construction of 4 single-family homes on Skyline Drive in unincorporated Kane County and Dundee Township. The finalization of the tax credit application is contingent upon building permits being issued for all the projects that are part of the application. In mid-January, Habitat for Humanity learned that the tax credit closing was scheduled for January 31st. While 2 of the building permit applications had been previously submitted and permits had been issued, The other two applications were submitted later than they should have been, which resulted in urgency on Habitat's part and a request for assistance from Kane County. Upon learning of Habitat's fast approaching deadline, county staff from these departments immediately reached out to offer Kane County's assistance. They provided focus and timely responses and solid answers to issues that needed to be resolved for the permits to be issued. The three departments went above and beyond, especially in terms of their turnaround time. Because of the comprehensive solutions and timely responses of the Kane County staff, Habitat adjusted lot lines, revised and submitted engineering drawings, and received the final two permits. Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley is grateful for the exceptional response from the Kane County staff. Thank you for helping us meet the need for affordable housing in Kane County. Sincerely, Barbara Beckman.
Just wanted to share with you another note of the exceptional staff and the incredibly loyal staff we have here at Kane County. Please extend our warm thanks to all of you for all of your hard work. So now, please. I have David Giordano would like to speak. Is he here?
Madam Chair, that was on petition 4585, so I think he's just
Okay.
standing by to answer questions.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Colin Anderson. I'm appearing on behalf of Mr. Giordano, who had a medical appointment today. I'm happy to answer any questions as it may pertain. I am Mr. Giordano's attorney.
Okay, thank you very much. When we get to that point.
Thank you.
Ethan Tarver. Is Ethan here? No? All right. Bernadette May.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and County Board members.
Morning.
I'm Bernie Mann from Family Service Association. I know you've heard me come here and speak to your group before. As the largest provider of children's mental health services in Kane County, I can decidedly tell you that the children's mental health crisis has not subsided. Conversations about low staff and high demand happen daily at our agency. We have all the perfect ingredients brewing to only exacerbate a long-known issue through more turnover, longer wait lists, and a greater reliance on emergency services. But last month, during your county board meeting, I snuck in the back to hear a unanimous vote to invest in the mental health workforce of Kane County. And many took the time to make additional comments on the importance of mental health. I walked away feeling a little lighter and a little more hopeful that day. Since then, we have rolled out retention payments for our current mental health staff and advertised recruitment bonuses. While I'm here to extend the expressed gratitude of our staff, I'd also like to tell you that it's working. Since announcing this 3 weeks ago, we've had 0 resignations, whereas in an average month, we have about 1.5. One staff went from part-time to full-time. We onboarded 2 new additional people, and we have 4 interviews set up. So on behalf of Family Service Association, our staff, and our clients, I thank you for recognizing this important need. I thank you for listening to the providers and our prevailing needs. It is not only good civil service, but also brave and bold. Thank you to the many leaders who helped make this happen, including Mr. Sanchez, Chairwoman Pirog, and Mike Isaacson. I look forward to continuing to work with the county board.
Thank you very much. Kate Bocci. Bhakti, is that, which one is it? Bhakti.
Thank you. First of all, kudos to the Second Amendment. Last week, friends were calling me all upset about what was happening in Ukraine, or what the Mockingbird media was telling them what was happening in Ukraine. Ukraine is a sovereign country, they said. Putin can't do that. You know what I said to them? What about America? America is a sovereign, aren't we? Yet we were taken over by hostile occupiers 150 years ago. The same year the District of Columbia was established, and no one said boo. We were invaded, We weren't invaded with bombs and tanks. We were infiltrated by cowardly foreigners who recruited patsies and puppets to kill Americans and destroy America, threats to their rule. The same Americans now cheering for civilians in Ukraine who are reportedly fighting back against the supposed threat against their independence and freedom, their security and way of life, are silent while seated politicians call maskless Americans who dare show up at school board meetings, the US Capitol, or a grocery store, domestic terrorists and the enemy. Some say America is in the middle of our second civil war or our second revolutionary war. I disagree, and so does President Trump, who said 2 years ago this month, quote, "I want to assure the American people we are doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible and invisible enemy. We are at war. In a true sense, we are at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think about that. This is a different kind of war than we've ever had," unquote. In his 1913 book, The New Freedom, page 36, Democrat Woodrow Wilson wrote, quote, "An invisible empire has set up above the forms of democracy," unquote. Who is this invisible empire? This invisible enemy? George Herbert Walker Bush, a member of the secret society Skull and Bones, told us on January 16th, 1991, from the Oval Office, as he announced the start of the empire's next war. Quote, "We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and in future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, meaning we the people, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders, not Americans' founders." Today, when we started the meeting, y'all took the Pledge of Allegiance to the New World Order flag. It's not the American flag, that's the American flag. That's a captured American flag, captured by the invisible enemy, the New World Order. Grandchildren will ask us what we did during this war. Good wins, but they'll ask us, what did we do? Fight for good or fight for evil, or not fight at all? Thank you, have a nice day.
Is Lori Baker here? Or is she on? Oh, sorry. Lori Baker? No? All right. And Mr. McQuillan?
Good morning, Bob McQuillan, 465 Walcott Lane in Batavia. I'd like to request 5 minutes to speak as I am speaking to a agenda item. Last week, someone asked me why I keep addressing the county board about Roger Fonstock spending over $58,000 on tuition for a young employee at a local university. The answer is quite simple. First, it was flat out wrong. The amount of spending on one employee violated several policies that were in place at the time. If this were not true, the P card, tuition reimbursement, and training policies would not have needed to be changed over the last 4 months. Second, the investigation into the matter was a sham. It had to be, because it was clear policies were broken on multiple levels. The public does not know any details because the state's attorney, who represents the board, has claimed attorney-client privilege. This was done even though the public paid for the investigation. Third, every former or current board member should know that it was in violation of county policy. Yet no current or past member has ever spoken in public about the issue or called for an investigation by an outside committee. Unbelievably, the county has no records of what courses were taken, nor how they related to the employee's position. You even refused to request the employee, who still works for the county, for course schedules, grades, or anything else because it would violate her privacy. This employee received a free college education from Kane County, and you can't ask her anything about it. In what world do you live in? In my opinion, you must really think county residents are idiots. You were elected to represent the residents in situations like this, and you have failed them. Any board member under old business can ask that this matter be reinvestigated and that appropriate action be taken. I don't believe in rumors why this happened, though they are out there. I only deal in facts. It is your responsibility to find out how and why this happened. I only ask that you do what county residents expect you to do. Find out the facts and make them public. I find it outrageous that today this board is being asked to increase Roger Fonstad's salary for up to 60 days for him to act as an interim executive director of building management. Does this man deserve a salary increase when he spent more than $58,000 of taxpayers' money on college tuition? In my opinion, the answer is a resounding no. I ask this board not to approve any salary increase for Roger Fonstad. If this department desperately needs a leader, find another employee to run the department for 60 days. Thank you.
I believe that does conclude our public
Madam
comment.
Chair,
Yes,
with the board's indulgence, I had a brief public comment on a non-agenda item.
fine.
As many of you have heard, today is being celebrated
Sir,
around the
your name.
world as International Women's Day.
Mr. Shepro, please introduce yourself. Your name.
Oh, Ken
record.
Shepro, 33W 542 Army Trail Road, Wayne.
Thank you.
Today is celebrated across the world. Somebody have a better microphone than this? That's better. So in thinking about that this morning, in the context of my family, I'm sure we all have many women, starting with our mothers, that we would like to remember. But apropos of Mr. Wallace's eloquent prayer, I thought about my great-grandmother, Ethel, who lived in a medium-sized Russian city called Mykolaiv, or Ukrainian city today. And that city, as we sit here today, is actually under attack by Russian army forces invading Ukraine. In October of 1903, Ethel took her family out of Mykolaiv to the train station in Kiev, where today thousands of refugees are seeking to go west. And she put her family on a train to Bremen and onto a North German Lloyd liner and brought her family to America, thus inflicting me on you today. But the juxtaposition of that incident and that evacuation, which was the result of an unprecedented number of attacks by Russians against citizens of Ukraine in 1903, just put me in mind of today. And so all of us, I hope, will remember the many women in our lives on International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you very much. That was lovely. Are there any other comments? All right. I have just a few updates. As was just mentioned, today is International Women's Day. And I think we all have stories of strong females in our lives, whether it be our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, or your moms or yourself, or even your daughters, who represent the strength of conviction, of morality, of family, of hope and dreams. And to see what's happening right now in Ukraine gives us all pause. And today also, I came across a quote that I'd like to share with you in honor of International Women's Day. This is by Susan B. Anthony. And I'm speaking to both men and women on this of a certain age, and you can judge whether or not you fit that age range or not. The older I get, the greater power I seem to have to help the world. So here we are in Kane County. Let's all try not only just to help the world, but let's make sure that we help the impact that the world is going to be having on Kane County. We're going to hear a little bit about the updating of Women in Kane County by Julie Mann. She has had a interesting journey on trying to find out a challenging journey of how women have supported Kane County, have been elected officials. And let's just say that she's had to go down deep into the archives and get rid of a lot of dust to be able to bring that forward to you. And then her report will be in just a few minutes. I also want to update you to let you know that I know you're going to be taking so many votes this year, as you did last year. You passed the maps, you got the precincts. Now you're going to be taking a look at potential budget adjustments, potential tax revenues that are going to be going through. But you're also going to.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Roger. You're also going to be taking a vote in the next few months, I believe in May. I will get you the exact date at a special board meeting for compensation of all the elected officials who are up for election this year. A committee has been formed, and our first meeting will be on the 21st of this month. I'm going to be pulling together all of the research, and some of our elected officials statewide, countywide elected officials have not had an increase in their compensation since 2006. So we'll take a look at that, and you as a board will decide how you're going to adjust that, if at all, for the next election, throughout the next election cycle. And for those individuals who run every 4 years, that can be adjusted every 4 years. For those of you as a board, and I'll be repeating this, you have once every 10 years to do it, unless you decide to do it as a graduated adjustment that you're going to be moving forward during a period of time, but only when a certain part of you are up for election. So it's the 2 and 4 year. So it becomes this is the time that you can bring together this, which will set the pace for the next 10 years. So be prepared for some very thoughtful votes during a very challenging, incredibly challenging time. But may we live in interesting times. I hope you are all have your petitions either turned in or prepared to turn them in if you are planning on running for re-election. They're due, I believe, next Monday. I wish you all Godspeed with this and good luck. It's been a remarkable board, and I'm very proud to be able to be part of all of you. We've been a great team. So with that, my brief comments, I'd like to bring up Julie Mann, who's going to share with you her research on women's history in Kane County.
Well, actually, I'm going to start with a little update on my office, and then we'll get to the women's history. You asked to prepare something just to kind of show where we've been. And I think Blair has my presentation somewhere. This is the first time I've used this, so I apologize for any goofs. Okay, so there it is, Public Information Office graphic. Okay, so we'll start with the first slide. Takes a second, I guess.
Just tell me next slide.
Next slide. Okay, I'll just wave you on then. Okay, if you could push forward the next slide, that'd be great. So when I came on board, I figured the best way to reach the public was through social media channels. And as you can see, in the past month, we've reached nearly 17,000 people with original content about every aspect of the county board. We found some fun stuff. We found some serious stuff. We've held a couple of events. So people are starting to acknowledge that we exist online. We did work with Facebook very closely, to get the check that you need that makes you the official page. So when you Google or look for Kane County government, our page should come up first. We also expanded onto Twitter and onto Instagram. We're having a lot of successes on Instagram. Okay, check the next slide here. Okay, so you can see here, that's the Facebook page, Instagram page, and at the bottom is our Twitter page. It's very easy to follow. You just go to Kane County Government and you hit the follow button. And I really encourage all of you to do that as board members and ask your families to do the same. Again, we're putting out a lot of really great content, keeping people updated on the unique things that are happening in Kane County that make us a great county. Got it to work once. These are some of the headlines that we've made with stories that we've pushed out from the Daily Herald, Beacon News, WBBM News Radio, the Kane County Chronicle, all picked up stories that we have been pushing, pitching, and showcasing on social media sites. These are just a few, but you see that including one that really went viral, which was the story about Blair Peters and his dog in training that you graciously allowed him to bring to the county board. So here we are. We did take time during Black History Month to put a post out every Thursday with detailed history on some of the people who were high profile or making their way here in the county. We're doing the same with Women's History Month. And I decided, since I was going to have to dive deep into the county's history to kind of refocus it a little bit, that I would start with women in the county. So with the help of Tracy Erickson over at the clerk's office and Under Sheriff Pat Gangler, I was able to find some really unique things. We're doing a post on our current elected office holders, doing something about our department head leaders that are women, law enforcement, first in Kane County, which includes my mother, which Jamie Mosser will be meeting her, and I appreciate that. She was the first assistant state's attorney in Kane County. So making some headway there. She's anxious to meet you. And we did some past elected officials too. But it was interesting that we were able to confirm the two first female jurors in the county, the first bailiff in the county, and also on the graphic that I don't have, we were able to find our first treasurer and our first recorder of deeds, I believe. But we had to dive deep to look, and it was through newspapers and again, using the archive over at the clerk's office. So it was not easy to find history on women here in Kane County who are trailblazers. Okay. But those will be coming up. So look at those. They'll be coming up each Thursday on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So just to give you another example of what we've been doing at the Public Information Office, we use a program called Canva. And so we've been doing these graphic designs that have been going up. Two of them were for the treasurer's office, actually three of them. I went to his office, we sat, we talked, and he gave me some ideas on things that I could push out And our deadline for seniors really took off. And we did our memorial, we did the coffee with the chairwoman. We did a scholarship program, graphic design, and I've been learning a lot about graphic design. So we've been doing that as well. And then Kane County Connects. Transition is in the works. Rick Nagel has announced his retirement plans. So we will be bringing Kane County Connects into the Public Information Office in the next several months. So, and with that, I conclude my presentation. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Shepherd.
I have in my possession a engraving of the first female deputy clerk. There is at the St. Charles Public Library a commemorative volume on that lady that was put together, I think, by some Kane County women's organization many years ago.
Great.
We stumbled across that when we were doing the county strategic plan under Chairman McConaughey.
Very good.
Great.
I
Thank you.
think her uncle was an elected official.
Okay, and any other questions? So how many of you, we should ask, have joined the Facebook page?
You're gonna get called out now. Okay. Yes.
And we won't go on to Twitter or all that.
Well, there's a lot of you on Instagram, right? Yeah.
I just want to say that our recycling event last Saturday, people said they read it in the Tribune, which picked it up from Kane County Connects. So
Mhm.
thank you very much.
Yeah, that's Rick Nagel, sure. But we just pushed out a story about it too. So that's on Facebook now with a lot of pictures, Instagram being picked up by people, reminding them that the site is still there.
Good, thanks.
Thank you. So just next month, try to get on. If you do Facebook, get on. You can keep updated with the news. And if you have any content that you would like to share, please let Julie know. Because this is a shared responsibility to give her the content to constantly push out. So if something is interesting in your district that you would like to have her be made aware of, please share.
Madam Chair, can you repeat the name that would go to on Facebook to find that?
Julie?
Just look up Kane County Government and it has a picture of a creek in the wintertime.
Got it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Julie. All right, we're on to zoning petitions, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have two matters before us this morning. We have a speaker registered for each, and based upon prior comments and a presumption, I am assuming that the speakers are here to answer questions that might be posed by the board. So should that be the case, they will be addressed. The first matter before us today is petition 4585 filed by David Giordano and others regarding property commonly known as 40 West 778 Norris Road in Blackberry Township. The proposed rezoning sought is from special use F farming district for a private landing strip, which, as we clarified during the hearing, is for ultralights and light aircraft, limited to 2. The petition complies with the agricultural intent of the 2040 plan. The plan commission, there was no plan commission jurisdiction. The zoning board recommended approval with certain restrictions, as did the development committee, adding one additional provision clarifying the fact that the strip was to be used for ultralight and light aircraft. There was one objection filed by the city of Aurora, and that being the presentation, I move its approval and request a second. Mr. Fraz seconds. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Fraz.
Yeah, this is in my district and I do support it. I think we set a record on tabling this for just many just clarifications, really nothing major. But as far as just major things, I would point out the neighbors, the petitioner did talk to all the neighbors before coming to forward with the petition. This is a neighborhood of farmettes and horse farms in a rural area. KDOT was clarified that they had the future easement they would ever want for widening of the road. The petitioner agreed to that. Kane County Forest Preserve reviewed it. There's a huge area of open space forest preserve to the north and east of this property. So just to be clear, this is a grass strip in somebody's backyard. Unfortunately, the term airport applies to this as well as O'Hare. So that's been one of the difficulties when somebody hears about an airport being approved. So it's a grass hobby airstrip. And as Mr. Martin mentioned, we did ask them to clarify that these would be very light and ultralight aircraft using this strip. North Aurora did object. It was very much the 11th hour objection. They never had anybody at any of our meetings. So I would just say, with all due respect to North Aurora, the huge forest preserve buffer will put a big distance between this area. Not that it would even matter, but there's a big gap between this site and the closest North Aurora village limits, and there's no potential for North Aurora to expand closer due to the forest preserve. So I strongly support this and urge that we pass it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Mr. Berman.
Yes, thank you. This is Berman. The Village of North Aurora passed a resolution opposing this petition number 4585. The proposed landing strip is within the village's 1.5 mile planning area, and they believe that it will possibly prevent future growth of the village. So I will vote no on petition 4585.
Mr. Shepro.
Question, does the action by North Aurora require a supermajority by this board to approve the requested zoning change?
I believe it was a formal resolution. Is that correct? And I would ask an opinion, but I believe that does require a supermajority.
Point of information, please. This is Dr. Silva. Are we on, I had technical difficulties. Are we on petition 4585?
That's correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for that, I believe Mr. Brown had a comment too, so I'm going to ask that we do that for efficiency of time.
And Ms. Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I just want to voice my opinion as well, that due to the fact that North Aurora did pass the resolution in objection to this unanimously, I do believe that there's a reason why we, throughout the county, have got planning areas designated to the municipalities and villages. So since they are objecting to this being approved, I am not going to support this as well.
Thank you.
Ms. Bates.
Madam.
Has a
Oh.
comment.
Well, let's conclude then the comments.
No.
Ms. Bates?
Ms. Bates.
Should I go or? is
Yes,
this
yes,
the
please go
speaker?
ahead.
I will be voting against this as well because I believe that a forest preserve is not a buffer. A forest preserve is not nothing. A forest preserve is a place with an ecosystem that we need to protect. I'm a birder and a tree hugger, as you all know. I don't want to be in a forest preserve and have a Briggs Stratton motor buzzing over my head. I don't want it scaring away the birds that we love and that are always threatened and endangered. I want to protect this natural area. It's not nothing. It's not a buffer. It's a forest preserve.
Thank you. Mr. Ms. Winnicki.
Yes, I'd just like to comment. We've been reviewing this petition now for months and months, and anything we really requested, Mr. Giordano agreed to and has followed our instructions. And one of the big questions was what type of plane would be flying over or landing on this parcel. It's an ultralight or very light aircraft. I'm actually happy to see this on the agenda today. I hope it does pass. I will vote yes on it because I think Mr. Giordano has really worked along with us the best he could. So I will vote yes on it. Thank you.
Mr. Fries?
Yeah, I do just want to clarify, as I stated before, that the Forest Preserve is a neighbor, and they were made aware of this as a neighbor, and this was reviewed by staff, and they had no objection.
And I would like to volunteer that we have other facilities that do the same thing, only with heavier aircraft throughout the county. So this is not a unique proposal. This is one person wanting to use their ground for at least what I would consider a fairly modest purpose, and I will support it.
Are we ready?
So if we could just table this for today still, because we're just making sure if it's a simple majority or super majority. I'm not asking for it to go to another day. We're just confirming this.
Would it be possible to postpone this discussion, to delay this discussion, to
Let's-
continue it today while they're doing their research so we can bring it up to vote?
Yeah, well, I mean, procedurally, we need an answer before we can proceed. So if you're talking about later during this meeting.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, with the indulgence of the group, we have a motion and a second, and we will delay continuation of the hearing until we have a definitive answer.
Okay, very good.
Just to clarify, this is a special use permit, correct?
Yes. It says special use.
Yes, it's a special use.
Okay, it's our belief that if it's a special use permit, it's just a simple majority, not a super majority.
Good.
Well, we have our opinion.
We have our opinion.
Further comment, Mr. Shepro?
Just to further, because it's a special use, it is not considered an amendment of regulation and districts, which is
Microphone.
Shepro, is not considered an amendment of regulation and districts, and therefore is not subject to the municipal objection process.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, no.
Berman,
Berman, no.
Brown,
Brown, no.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Froz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, no.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, no.
Copy,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, no. Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, no.
Strathman,
Strathman, no.
Surges,
Abstain.
Abstain.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Wallace, yes.
Wodnicki.
Yes.
Passes. Passes.
Carries.
Yes, it does.
Thank you. The second and last matter before us is petition 4587, filed by Kane Land Club LLC, Air 802 Corporation, regarding property commonly known as 2190 Liberty Street in Aurora Township. The rezoning sought is from F District Farming to PUD Planned Unit Development. The 2040 plan specifies this be commerce or recommends commerce and employment. There was one objector being the city of Aurora. There was no regional plan commission jurisdiction. The zoning board approved with certain stipulations, as did the development committee adopting those recommendations. I move approval of this and request a second.
Silva, seconds, please.
Dr. Silva seconds. Do we have comments or questions? Mr. Fries.
as a member of the development committee, the site plan they submitted was very impressive. This is an area of very heavy industry. There's a precast concrete plant right next door. And I just got to say, I don't know these petitioners, don't know anything about their business, but the plan they submitted is very impressive. Had a lot of landscaping, fencing that seemed to take into account the views of the neighbors and so forth. So I support it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Ms.
Silva,
Lewis?
please.
Question, Lewis.
You nice.
Oh,
You.
Okay, okay, Lewis. I was just wondering what the city of Aurora objection was.
I believe that their objection was just couched in terms that they wanted the property next to the city of Aurora rather than zoned by the county.
Annexing. I think Dr. Silva had a question.
Dr. Silva?
Yes, thank you so much. So I represent the district that this change would be going in. I did sit in the meeting with CBA, and I have spoken to the owner operators of the company. And for a number of reasons, I am supportive. This is a somewhat residential area on the DuPage side. It's right on the county line. No one no one has come to object to this to me. And on the side of the Kane County residents, I would describe that as a more industrial area. One concern would be anything that this has, any effect that this could have on drainage. From what I understand, it wouldn't have any in the area as it is a high flood zone region, but the stipulations and all the work that is going into this would protect people in that region. So I would encourage economic development. I understand that a few more jobs. It is a small business with low traffic expected. Small parts are being used, and so this is a business that would provide economic opportunity and jobs in our region. So I am supportive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Question, Shepro. So this would appear to be an amendment of a regulation in district. So my question, as before, is did the city of Aurora file a formal resolution of objection, or did they just make an objection through the hearing process?
I believe that they did not. I think that they cast an objection, but if someone can confirm that, do I have somebody from the zoning department online? Oh, Keith, if you would like to address that.
Good morning. We received an email objection, but not like a formal letter from them. But I think that was their intent, it would be fair to say. the city
Okay.
of Aurora.
My recollection, I'll defer to the state's attorney, is that in order to trigger the supermajority for a rezoning, there has to be a certified copy of a resolution of the corporate authorities filed with the county clerk, I believe.
And I'm not aware that that has been done.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Tepe,
Epi, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Monique,
Yes.
that passes.
Very good.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes the zoning petitions.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I believe there are no appointments. Are there any committee updates?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Vern Tepe, the Public Service Committee, just wanted to make a note that the clerk's office has updated all of the individual records. They're going through some minor changes that happened with a major upgrade, but everybody's records have in effect been updated for the new coding for voting, and walk list will be available soon.
And when are all of our candidates officially vetted? When do they get their notice for official candidacy? I believe in several weeks. Do you know?
I don't know the exact date, but I'll find out.
Okay, that would be very good. And if you can let us know, we'll let everyone know.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Shepro,
Mr. Shepro.
I believe the process is that following the last day to file, which is next Monday, there's then a 5-day objection period in which formal objections, if they are to be filed, can be filed within that 5-day period. And then depending on what's filed, the electoral board will convene and hear and pass on those objections. And I believe that at some point after that, there will be an official, I think they send out a letter asking if you like the way your name is spelled to appear on the ballot.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. All right. So you'll keep us updated with that, Mr. Tubby, since it impacts so many. Okay, very good. And yes, Mr. Surges.
A few quick items. As we've discussed at Executive Veterans Affairs, I will be switching from Human Services Committee to Public Service Committee. We are meeting with Jake this afternoon for lunch, just to make sure between Vern and I, that transition rolls easily. And then I want to apologize to everybody. Everybody knows I'm a diabetic. I had a sensor reading that acknowledged about 20 minutes ago that something bad was happening. I removed myself downstairs. Sheriff Haynes helped me. I do not have my blood glucose kit with me. An ambulance was sent. Everything is good. Please come without the lights lit up or the sirens off. And of course,
Handcuffs.
I apologize for the rigmarole. The sensor is reading I'm back to normal and life is good. So,
Explain.
well, normal is I'm within tolerance. How's that? So I apologize, Madam Chair.
You're perfectly normal.
I am, Audrey would say otherwise, but
So what donut did you eat?
did not. I had a granola bar. That was it. Yes.
Is there anything else? I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
All right, we are now on to our consent agenda. Would anybody like to remove an item from the consent agenda, please? Yes, Mr. Shepro.
Shepro, 22-86.
Yes, Mr. Iqbal.
22-73. And one more,
Yes.
22-88.
There's the mandates. Oh, sorry.
Anything else? May I have now a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, except for items number 22-73, 22-86, and 22-88.
Berman moves.
Seconds.
Multiple seconds. Yes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Froz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Warnicki. Yes. Passes, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you all. Well done. Now, may I please have a motion and a second to potentially approve and discuss items number 22-73.
Is it 72 or 73?
73.
73.
Mr. Martin? Mr. Fawes?
For seconds.
Now, who, I believe, who called that, Mr. Shepro or Mr.?
No,
Iqbal?
it goes to Mr. Iqbal.
Yeah, Madam Chair, in this resolution, the coroner office has requested an adjustment upward.
Mr. Iqbal, can you get your
Yes,
microphone a little bit closer?
Coroner office has requested an upward approval of $389,000. This is roughly 35% increase or overrun on the budget. It's quite a bit of money, and I don't know what the justification was. And I look at the budget, and he was given 35% increase for the next year. So are we going retro at the same time and going forward at the same time? Why we have to approve this overrun on the budget? I just don't know. I need some clarification.
Yes, Mr. Shepro.
I think the reason for the adjustment is that the coroner's office has been continuously underfunded with respect to autopsy expense. You can budget whatever you want for the autopsy expense, but the autopsies have to be performed by law. And I mean, there's actually been some discussion over the past couple of years that perhaps that expense shouldn't even really be budgeted within the coroner's office because it is really a state mandate that the work must be done. I believe that the increase that is referred to is somewhat belated recognition that the budget needs to be realistic. There's also was a substantial increase, I believe, in the activity of the coroner's office due not just to COVID, but to the opioid crisis as well. And while we all wish we didn't have to do it, there's really not much of an alternative to that. The law is pretty clear about when autopsies should be performed. And having been an observer of that office for many years, I believe that this request is eminently justified.
Does that offer you an adequate explanation?
Yeah,
Mr.
one more
Iqbal?
question, Madam Chair. In addition to autopsy, this resolution has a line item says autopsy / consulting. I'm unsure about consulting. Are we hiring consultants to do autopsy or something else? And I have not seen any contract on the consulting business.
Yes, Mr. Shepard.
I believe the consulting, because the pathologist that performs the services is not an employee of the county. That is the consulting contract is for the doctor to perform the autopsies.
We do not have a doctor on staff at the coroner's office. Any other questions, sir? No?
Madam Chair, if I could on this.
Yes, Mr. Surges.
I've always had this fundamental question, and Mo, I think we may have discussed this at some point in time. If the services of the coroner's office is throughout the county, meaning the underlying municipalities don't have coroner's office, he's it for the whole kit and caboodle. Do the underlying municipalities kick into this, or if there's a rise, say because of a pandemic, does that burden rely just on the counties, or I don't understand the mechanism there, and I'm just asking the question.
Mr. Shepard.
The Shepro, the coroner's services is it's a constitutional and statutory office. So regardless of where that activity takes place. There's no basis for back charging or surcharging the individual jurisdiction in which the death occurs. I mean, for example, if you did have something like that, it would be punitive, for example, on any city or that had a hospital. Although generally they don't do autopsies if they're hospital deaths, but anyway, I think the short answer to your question, and again, I defer if the state's attorney has a different view, is that just like the sheriff doesn't back charge just because he has activity within a particular municipality, unless there's actually an agreement for special services that the sheriff would provide. But the coroner doesn't have things like that. Their job is to investigate deaths.
Again, just curious. Just don't know how it works.
And if I may say positively, in order to reduce this cost, Mr. Iqbal, we have to reduce the amount of fentanyl deaths, opioid deaths, and obviously the COVID, which is, thank goodness, on the decline. So the health and well-being, the better the health and well-being of our citizens are here in Kane County, that will reduce that cost equally.
Call the question?
Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen? Allen?
Allen, aye.
Bates?
Yes.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Davis?
Davis, yes.
Ford?
Ford, yes.
Frost?
As yes.
Gums?
Gums, yes.
Iqbal?
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Kobe?
Kopi, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro?
Shepro, yes.
Silva? Silva?
Silva, yes.
Thank you. Strathman?
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis?
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe?
Pepe, yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Wonecki?
Yes.
That passes.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve item number 2286?
Berman moves.
Mr. Berman?
Allen, seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Who called that?
This was Shepro. I just wondered if we could have a little bit more of an explanation than I heard at the Finance Committee. I think this was right after the item that got a lot of attention, and so I think it sort of got a little skipped over. I just was hoping we could get a brief, somewhat more detailed explanation of the need for those services or what they are exactly.
I believe we have Mr. Fonstock here. Please, Mr. Fonstock.
All right, good morning. Roger Fonstock with the Kane County IT Department. So what you have in front of you was a resolution.
Mr. Fonstock, your microphone a little bit more.
A little bit higher. Okay. Sorry about that. Is that better? Yes. This, again, Roger Fonstock with the Kane County IT Department. So what you have is a resolution for professional services. It's consulting and project management. This went through the normal committee process. So administration committee, finance, executive. The resolution is a renewal of a 2-year agreement. We had a existing 2-year agreement with Deafin.net for project management services and another company, Infogenie, for project management services. Those two were the most responsible proposals from an RFP from 2 years ago. We had a 2-year agreement with both of them, and we're exercising an option to renew another 2-year agreement. So these are budgeted expenses. These come from our consulting services budget. So every year we line up projects for the judiciary, for public safety. We have KaneCom, 16th Judicial Circuit, State's Attorney. We have all the judiciary partners, police subscribers at different police agencies that subscribe to 911. And we also have the Emergency Telephone Systems Board, which has some responsibilities for the phone systems between KaneCom and TriCom. All collected, we are looking at somewhere around $3 or $4 million in capital projects for those areas. And we try to budget about 15% or what we can to deal with project management services for that particular area. We've primarily used Deafin.net, which the principal is Patrick Feldner. Pat's been working with us for a long time, has a lot of great knowledge of public safety systems. If any of you would like to talk to some of his references, I'd encourage you to talk to Chief Judge Clint Hull, Sheriff Haynes, Director Guthrie at 911, any of the officials that he normally manages and works on projects with. Had extensive experience with Pat working with our court case management system. He was brought in to help us with project management services for that. That was about a $12 million project that he helped us complete. Again, this is budgeted expenses. It comes from a variety of funds, and I think I mentioned the different departments and funds. It was a 2-year agreement. It's up for a 2-year renewal. We're recommending the renewal of their agreement. You will see at next administration, there's also a resolution to renew the agreement with Infogenie as a second project management firm. They did not supply the purchasing documentation back to purchasing in time to get on admin, but they'll be on admin tomorrow. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I have a.
Yes, Mr. Kenyon.
Kenyon, just thank you for your explanation.
Yep.
We have to know what we're voting for.
I
and
agree.
The detail is important. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was brought up by the auditor. And the reason it was brought up is that this individual, this business had not filed their necessary registration with the state. And subsequently they were registered with the state for many years before, but I think just that they failed to file their registration. But that's why it was brought up by our auditor, and as well she should. She wanted to make sure that we're doing business with people that are registered in the state and recognizes that. So that's the reason it was brought up in the first place.
Mr. Berman and Madam Chair, if I may, I think that's a good indicator too for purchasing and vendor registration. When a vendor comes in, they fill out a certain set of forms to do business with the county, and then those forms go into the system and they're a registered vendor. And then, you know, logically, maybe as a matter of finance or as policy, how they handle those vendor registrations over time. When we put in the new system for the finance system sometime around 2005, we did a massive purge. I don't know that, you know, we've had a regular cleanup and purge or records refresh on vendors, but it might be something to look at. Just verify everybody's information.
2005 was the last time.
I don't know. I just know, I know when we implemented the finance system all those years ago, they did that. And it was a question of, do we take the old vendor file and bring it into the new system, or do we create a new one and start over? And they started over. So
Okay, maybe this is off topic, but perhaps you could bring that up for discussion
Sure.
at one of the committee meetings at admin.
absolutely.
Yes. Mr. Caius.
This Caius, yeah. So just for confirmation, the vendor that we're talking about, the vendors are currently licensed and are insured and have all the appropriate qualifications to perform
Yes.
and accept.
And those are reviewed. I think they're reviewed by purchasing, but they're also reviewed or looked at from time to time by the auditor and others. And this vendor in particular, I checked this morning, they're on the Secretary of State's site. They have all their stuff updated already. So
Thank you.
I think we're ready. Clerk, please call the roll.
thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tippy,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonicky.
Yes.
Okay, very good. May I have a motion and a second to approve item number 22-88?
Nikki moves.
Second, please.
Berman, second.
You, Mr. Berman. And I believe this, Mr. Iqbal.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would be abstaining on voting on this motion, and nothing wrong with that. It's about the arbitration program in the old courthouse. And the reason I will be abstaining is because I'm called upon to serve as an arbitrator several times a year. So that's the reason for me to call to your attention.
Okay, very good. Yes, Mr. Caius.
Call the question.
Just
Caius has a comment.
one comment. The only objection I have to this is I think that Third Street is misspelled. Third should be TRD. And I know it's gone through 3 committees and I've seen that. And I want to
Yes.
correct.
Thank you.
So,
Style.
thank you. I'm going to vote for it with that correction.
Chicago
Street.
Tribune spelling of
Karen was working very late into the night on Friday to be able to put this massive agenda together. We'll all give her a little grace.
My bad as well. I've seen it 3 times. I'm going to mention it each time under my breath, but this, now we're the final vote. We better fix it. Don't you think? I apologize. Nothing personal.
So with that, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Frost,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Present.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Copy,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Just yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonicky.
Yes.
Passes.
Excuse me. I need a 2-volume set. All right, here we go. The mandated services, yes.
Madam Chair, before you move on with the agenda, I would like to ask for a procedural consideration, and that is with our consent agenda every month, as this one was, the total number of pages 644. Anyone that would like to pull something off the consent agenda, whatever item that may be, I was wondering if we could reference the page, because sometimes the bookmarks don't give you the exact resolution. So you're scrolling through things trying to find it. And if we had the page it was on, just for the ones that are pulled off the consent agenda, everybody could reference that rather quickly.
That sounds fine. If you can do me a favor next time we meet, if you can remind me if I don't do that, because I have the information
Okay.
on here, and that'll make your lives a little easier, so you don't have to scroll through the extensive amount of pages. As I don't know if you heard me mumbled, I almost need a 2-volume set. We're running out of large binders here. So now we're on to.
No, we still got the
No, we
other
still have,
4.
we have several more to go
Oh.
through. I have a motion and a second to discuss item number 22-01.
Sturgis moves.
101. Mr.
Berman,
Sturgis.
second.
Is there any discussion? Yes.
Madam Chair, since this matter has gone through committees, I think we're becoming generally aware that a huge portion of the data that is anticipated being collected in this study, in fact, may be readily available to us or already in hand. And what I would like to do would be to move that this matter be referred back to the Finance Committee so that we can, in fact, vet what we believe to be the information. And if in fact it's concluded by the Finance Committee that we should conclude or order the study, that we give some specific instructions to the purchasing department. So we're in fact pursuing a contract that is got some guidance and some restraint to it. So I would like to send this back to the Finance Committee.
Second.
Yes, Mr. Sturgis.
So at this time,
I'll second that motion.
since last we met, Jamie Labrillo has compiled about 137 pages from the different departments across the county. Some of those are extremely spot on, poignant information we need. Some of them not so much. We have some work to do there. But I do, the point I'm trying to make is, I do believe that with a little bit of time, last time we met, maybe that was at executive, we were looking for a motion to move $100,000 to $150,000 to take this Herculean effort on of the unfunded mandate. I think that we can get most of this in-house and fold this into some other studies that we're doing for a significantly reduced cost. And Jamie, as usual, if Labrillo is here, I've probably oversimplified that to the point that I would ask Jamie to come up and just bring us up to speed if she could.
Thank you, Jamie Labrillo, Executive Director of Human Resources. Following executive committee, as Mr. Sturgis stated, we contacted the finance department, who did already have all of the documentations regarding mandated services that each department did submit with their 2022 budgets. And we pulled that together, and as Mr. Sturgis said, it was about 137 pages of information. After looking through these, as he said, there is still some work that does need to be done on those. Some of them were thorough, included statutory references, while some didn't. Some included cost of those services and some did not. We are also currently undertaking the business analysis project in human resources, and there is a great deal of overlap among these two. And I think it would make a good use of our director's time as well as the county funds if we were to make an effort to combine some of those efforts. So it could be done as a joint effort between the staff and finance regarding the mandated services, as well as human resources regarding the business analysis. And would be able to pull those two things together and provide one project that addresses the analysis of some of our staff and their wages, as staff and wages is one of the major components of the cost of providing mandated services.
Correct.
And-
Mr.
and-
Leonard?
I'm sorry. And Jamie, if just, because I don't want to lose this in context, in our discussions, I've always said that if we hit a wall that is slightly beyond our capabilities, we may need to go outside and seek some very specific help on a very specific topic, but not so broad brushed as was originally intended back at the executive committee. Am I fair with that statement? Generally?
Yes.
Even close?
I would certainly propose that we still do an RFP, and we would make a revised scope that includes both the mandated services components that we need, as well as the business services components that we need. So we would work with finance and whatever staff is needed to provide a revised scope, and a new RFP would be issued.
So Madam Chair, given that that's the direction I would like to inform the body and seek some consensus to move to that area. And I'm really not quite sure how to do that, but I at least wanted to deliver that information.
Thank you. And remember, this is just a vote to put out an RFP, not to expend any money.
At this point, it's a motion to recommit to finance.
Yes, I understand that. So discussion on that motion. Mr. Tepe, then Mr. Leonard.
Thank you. Tepe here. Ms. Zabrillo, if you were to go ahead with this, do you have a rough timeline when it might be?
I would really have to consult with finance as well and get a better idea of what the actual scope would be before I could reasonably make that, I wouldn't want to make that right now.
Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would second, if no one else has, before Mr. Martin's motion, that we move this back to finance, whether it can be done in a week or two, or you need more time. It still needs to go through finance for final vetting to know exactly what we need. And as Mr. Sturgis said, to be more specific on what we're hiring a group to do. So in order to send out an RFP right now, I think would not be in our best interest. And I think we should put it back into finance, get a better definition of what, if anything, we do need, and then get it passed through finance and then back to executive.
Yes. Mr.
Berman
Berman.
here. Obviously, this is, we're approving the idea of an RFP, not a specific RFP in this case, but I think going back to finance is probably the smartest move. So,
Yeah.
I agree with it.
Okay.
I
very
call the
good.
question.
I think Jared still had
I
it.
think Mr. Sanchez and Ms. Bates.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to say, based on the conversation we've had so far, my summary of it is what goes into the RFP is the most important concern. So if we were to pass this today, I would wonder if it would be helpful to just have assurances that Finance Committee and or Executive Committee would have some input on what goes into the RFP, or if that's the process we're talking about right now to send it back, and that would be the way to craft the RFP together.
Yes. Yes, that would happen. Ms. Bates.
I'd like to thank Human Resources Department for stepping up and possibly saving us a lot of money. And for everybody who did all this investigation into finding a way to do this for cheaper for us. Thank you.
The efficient use of the money. Mr. Iqbal.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a historical note. Last time the study was done, it was 2015. And it costed 125,000 roughly. It was reported in the press. So if somebody wants to start, I think they should get hold of the old study and look at it and prepare an RFP, plus and minuses.
Yes, and that's, thank you. I think we've already done that, and there was a revision in 2019 with recommendations. One of the recommendations, just to anecdotally, was to reduce the size of the board to 15, saving about $250,000 annually in salaries, and I do not, and healthcare costs. So the board in 2019 decided not to accept that. And there were several other suggestions, but that's the one that I thought was original recommendation from the 2017 study to reduce the size of the board. So be prepared if we move forward with this. Candor and honesty of how to reduce costs and make the government more efficient with limited dollars are all going to be on the table. And that's what the study is about. So I think we have a motion to move it to finance.
Motion and second.
And a second. Yes, one more discussion item, and we'll call the question.
Shepro, the comments you just made, I guess, make me a little more nervous about what this study was supposed to do. My understanding from talking with various board members and Madam Chair was that this study was not going to tell us things like we should reduce the size of the board or we should cut costs. It was supposed to, as I understood it, was simply going to be an analysis of what the mandated services were and how much we thought it would cost to deliver those services. If we're talking about an efficiency study, which is going to come back and say, this department has too many people, the board's too big, that I think goes back to Mr. Sanchez's point about what is an RFP going to do? And hopefully that will be vetted at finance. Anyway, I want to thank so many people for bringing information to us that we didn't have when I brought this up at the Finance Committee meeting. In particular, I think staff was extremely helpful in providing us with the fact that there were these annual mandated studies submittals by everybody. And so I'm happy that it looks like we're not going to spend $150,000 to get the information that's in our files. And I will support the motion to send back to finance.
And just a point of clarification, why the original study was approximately in that range, which was duplicated on the initial request. This study was actually going to be under 100,000.
Yeah.
So please, that's a clarification.
How do we know that if we didn't have an RFP?
But we don't have an RFP yet, but that was going to be our budget. You know, you only can spend what you want to spend.
Up to 150 in the.
Well, I know that, but that is,
No.
yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it would not, $100,000 and under.
May I have a clarification of the motion?
The motion is to send this resolution back to finance.
And it's not saying that we will still have an RFP. It's just going back.
Back to finance for
Correct.
clarity of the resolution. And the resolution will be crafted in finance.
Thank you.
Right, we're all
Mhm.
good?
Yes.
Let's call the roll.
Thank you, Jamie.
Allen,
Allen,
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford, Bras,
Braz, yes.
Gums,
yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Seppi, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonicky.
yes.
Perfect, good.
So we'll go back to finance.
Okay, well done. I think that's a great vote. Sincerely, I do. I think it's a very solid vote.
Now the fun.
May I have a motion and a second to approve items number 22-102?
Caius move.
Sturgis seconds.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? Seeing none online. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Seppi, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Wonicky.
Yes.
Passes.
Very good.
And thank you, Mr. Feinstock.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Fonstock. Yes, absolutely. Your guidance will be most helpful. May I have a motion and a second on items number 22-103?
And then we'll move that.
Bates, second.
Is there any discussion on this?
Yeah, madam, I need to know more about it. What power are we giving away? It looks like that you are taking over some power that board had.
I think Ms. Winicky is here. As she's coming up to the podium, I received a text from Mr. Martin, and it made me chuckle, and I want to share this with you. The text was very cryptic. What about the gas? And I went, the gas, and it reminded me of my late husband saying, "Did you pay the NICOR bill?" So please.
Afford to pay the NICOR bill.
No problem. Jody Walnick, Director of Environmental and Water Resources. I'm just speaking on this item in behalf in relation to the fact that this falls under building management. We do run the electric aggregation program for the entirety of the county unincorporated areas. So we were providing some technical assistance to that staff regarding this issue. The county purchases ahead of time through a bulk contract, natural gas and electricity to save the county money. We get great rates for both natural gas and electricity. Our current contract for natural gas expires on April 30th and for electricity on December 31st. So this contract would allow us to go out onto the market to work with Tradition Energy to obtain bids for a new natural gas contract. And then later in the year, we'll be doing the same for our electric. So this is for county buildings for our county complex.
Yeah, but what is the procedure that you generally go through? Does it come through the board and the board agrees to it, or what are we doing here?
No, we have a consultant who's an expert in the industry that obtains the bids on the county's behalf. Those contracts are then reviewed by our state's attorney's office, and within 24 hours, the chairwoman has to sign it. Because the gas rates constantly change, they will not hold their bids any longer than that. So based on staff recommendation and our Tradition Energy consultant will be making the recommendation directly to the chairwoman.
I see, okay. So it's a time issue, and would you consider getting it ratified by the board, or no, it's chairman does it and we don't
Yeah,
know?
it's not possible. It's the same way our electric aggregation program works. The chairwoman is authorized to sign that contract on behalf of the board because of the timing issue.
Okay. What I heard that last chairman agreed for 3-year contract, or you agreed and he signed it. And it was a good thing. Would you be going back again for 3-year contract, or would it be 1 year, or?
The natural gas industry is very volatile right now. So when we're looking at those bids, we're going to be looking at the time frame the same way we did the electrical aggregation program. Last year, we only did a year contract. This current contract is for 2 years. So we will be getting numbers for 1, 2, or 3 years and determining what would be in the best interest of the county.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
We definitely, there's some spiking in our costs right now.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Berman.
Berman here. This is a normal procedure. We did this in the village, and it's something you have to do because of the timing of it. And your decision has to be made. It can't come back to the board for that decision. So it's just a normal procedure that has to take place.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
And likewise for the Forest Preserve.
Yes, Mr. Shepro?
I don't want to put words in Mr. Iqbal's mouth, but I think the question maybe, or my question is, understanding the timing issue, are there any parameters within which that decision is to be made?
Yes, we're working on the parameters directly with Tradition Energy based on the market. And so if the numbers are not good, we will hold those numbers and they will go back out for new quotes. And so we will continue to do that until we're happy with the rate we receive, or it's the best rate we're able to get. Worst case is if we go beyond that April 30th date, we would go back to NICOR and just pay off the market.
Which would be a bigger spike.
Potentially.
Thank you.
Potentially. Any other questions, Mr. Iqbal?
No, thank you.
Oh, sure. Are we ready?
Mhm.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copy,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Key. Yes, passed.
Very good. May I have a motion and a second to approve items number 22, item number 22-104?
Sanchez moves.
And Mr. Sanchez,
Second.
Mr. Iqbal. Discussion? Yes, Mr.
Kenyon,
Hank.
could you read the resolution in
I-
full?
Would you like to do this?
Page number.
On a second.
Page 642.
On page
642.
643, I have,
42 and
where
43.
it begins on 42. Do you want to do the? Would you like the whole
You could give me a
resolution?
clip note of it, but
Mr.
we're
Sanchez,
changing it is what.
we
we're
are
doing.
changing it. This is coming from your
Just want us to
department,
understand
your
what
committee.
we're
So
voting for.
would you like to update the board on what the reason and rationale for the change?
Sure. Would you like me to read the executive summary?
Yes, that would be lovely.
This resolution amends the mask mandate and it repeals the current mask and social distancing requirements and allows the public health mitigation efforts consistent with the Center for Disease Control and IDPH guidance to be put into place at the advice of the Kane County Health Department by the county board chair and to allow the guidance to pivot quickly under these changing conditions. That's so we don't have to.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Know what you're voting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Ms. Wernicke.
Just a quick question. We're following the CDC guidelines. Does that Does that require mandated? Does it mandate immunizations for county employees?
No.
No,
Not at all?
No.
Okay.
not at all.
That was a question I had received, so I
No,
wasn't sure.
not at all, not at all. This is simply mask.
And social distance.
Does this leave open the possibility that if we have to go back to masking, we will put this back into effect?
It allows that flexibility to occur, to be able to.
Change our mind daily.
I may, Madam Chair.
We can, it'll pivot quickly. Yes, Mr.
It-
Sanchez. And
It'll
then-
relate to the CDC's designation of we're in high transmission or not. So once that occurs, this allows us to reinstitute the masking policy and take it back when it's not needed.
Yes, Mr.
I
Shepherd.
think you just answered the question, but it would allow us to do that without a need for yet a further resolution.
Correct.
Correct.
Mhm.
Following the guidance and direction of the public health. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Frost,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal, Kenyon, Caius,
Yes.
Kobe,
yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
thank you. Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
passes.
Black Suit Brigade.
All right, that is the end of the consent agenda, and we are moving into executive session. I will now like to
Madam
entertain.
Chair, I move to go into a closed session to discuss item 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and number 2, pending litigation, and number 3, probable and imminent litigation.
Brad, second.
Second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Brown, Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Brad, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon, Caius, Kobe, Kobe, Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
thank you. Understood. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin, Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Woniki.
Motion passed. We're going to be moving into executive
Well,
session. I think everybody would appreciate
We
a
have
few
one
minute
here.
break. So why don't we take a 5-minute quick
yeah.
break in case
Thank
anybody
thank
needs
you, Madam
to
Chairman.
get a stretch of the legs.
Okay, everybody online, please accept your invite into the closed session. If you probably heard, we're going to take a 5-minute break, but please go ahead and join us in the closed session before taking your break. You'll see those invites momentarily. Keep in mind, we are live streaming, so until I give you the word that we are officially in closed session, any conversations will be going out live to the public.
And then they closed everything.
Yeah, it got warm.
It was like, the wind must have switched.
Yeah, it felt chilly.
I always like find the cold. I should put on a sweater. Is that making it hot?
It was getting chilly though, it was.
This is that. So what's the switch? Are you going over to public service?
Okay, is there anybody hearing my voice that feels they should be included in the closed session?
And I'm still practicing until I can get it right.
Almost done.
For hours.
It's funny, I said the curtain goes about this far. And I said,
The combined billing was gonna
Closed
kill us.
session? I don't know, he said, I hear them voting, he said, they probably voted me to go out.
Remember, once we had a funny case, like 8 top people in the office were all in the conference room. We figured out
The poor man left his phone
that
here.
meeting
How
was
could he
costing.
Okay, you are back in open session.
All right, we are back in open session. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Ellen present.
Bates, Berman,
Here.
Brown,
Down here.
Davis,
Davis here.
Ford,
Still here.
Bras,
Here.
Gums,
here. Gump's here.
Iqbal,
Present.
Kenyon,
Here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Kobe,
Copies here.
Leonard, Lewis, Martin,
Martin present. Hey, Jake.
Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Shepro,
Pro presence.
Silva,
Silva's here.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe here.
Wallace,
Here.
Oniggy,
Present.
Hero.
Here. Okay, now,
Madam
ready?
Chair,
Yes.
I would like to move approval of the settlement in case number 18L206 in the amount of, is that the 10,000 or the 65?
65.
Of $65,000.
Thank you.
Wallace, second.
Second. Any discussion?
Who was the
Clerk.
second?
No discussion.
Wallace?
Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yeah.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gump's yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kobe,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina, Molina,
Molina, yes.
thank you. Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Oniggy.
Yes.
Passes.
Good. Why don't you lead the
Madam
charge?
Chair,
Madam Chair,
Yep, all
I
done.
move that we settle 19 CV 6613 in the amount of $10,000.
second Shepro.
Second. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
It's yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gump's yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kobe, Kobe, Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Oniggy.
Yes.
Passes.
We got our resolution team here. Here we
Madam
go.
Chair, I move that we approve the resolution authorizing waiver of a potential conflict involving the law firm of Myers and Flowers.
Wallace, second.
Oh, seconds. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
It's yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gump's yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard abstains.
Lewis,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Sturgis,
yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace, Oniggy.
Passes. Before I have a motion to adjourn, I'd like to remind the county board that there will be a special county board meeting on March 22nd at 3:30 PM.
22nd.
March 22nd,
You said
what
March
time?
21st earlier.
Any reason?
3:30.
3:30.
Are you sure? I thought it was this week.
Oh,
Tomorrow. I have a cow for tomorrow.
Now, tomorrow.
Cow tomorrow.
This is a special county board meeting
Oh.
versus
Ooh.
Whatever,
cow.
get your cows
Getting
mixed
a
up.
cow.
next week.
I confused my cows.
Tomorrow's the special county board.
And this, yeah, there's- and,
Cow
you know,
tomorrow.
the cow, tomorrow's the
Cow.
cow.
What's the date of the special meeting?
March 22nd. Yeah.
March 22 at 3:30.
Madam Chair.
Oh.
I just want to announce our sheriff department is offering.
Your microphone.
Sorry, I just want to make an announcement that our Kane County Sheriff Department is offering a countywide CPR classes. And we are to contact the CPR coordinator if anybody is interested.
Thank you. Very valuable class to have. May I have now a motion to adjourn?
I would move we adjourn and go walk the dog and take care of the cows.
All is second.
Second.
Don't get them mixed